Alright, hey, what's up? So, in this lesson, we're going to be doing an exercise with a ball. Very simplistic, very easy. Now, if you remember watching The Illusion of Life, or if you remember the 12 Principles of Animation, what we're going to be focusing on right now is the introduction to pose-to-pose animation. Now, we're also going to be touching squash and stretch and follow through and overlap. But the main focus here is pose-to-pose animation. Now, if you remember from The Illusion of Life, the pose-to-pose was under number 4. It was put together with straight ahead and pose-to-pose. So, basic rundown, straight ahead animation is animation you draw on the fly. So you draw each frame as you go along. And these types of animations are best for things like fire, or water drops, or something that's unpredictable. Pose-to-pose animation, on the other hand, is, well, to put it simple, you plan out your animation, how it's going to be. So, we're going to be focusing on pose-to-pose animation with this little ball exercise here. Now, I'm not going to focus on the medium that we're using. In this case, I'm using Photoshop. We're instead going to be focusing on the skills, pose-to-pose. So, let's get started. What you're going to notice here is you have a little ball and you're going to want him to bounce. Now, I have no references, which is usually a big no-no for animation. You always want to have reference. But for this, we're just focusing on the skill. Let me pull up Photoshop. And you see here I have a bunch of different frames that show my animation. So let's actually get these frames. Let's get it. I think it was this one. If I remember correctly. I am going to copy this real quick. And I'm going to open a new folder. Well, new file. Now I'm going to keep the settings the same. If I remember where I had it. Oh well. 1280 by 720. There's no real reason I'm using this. I'm just doing this because this is what I want. So it's up to you how you want your resolution, your height and width. That's completely up to you. So I'm going to create this and yeah. So for now, I created a new layer. Now, like I said, I'm not going to focus on the medium that's being used. This isn't a Photoshop tutorial. I'm just going to show you the skills in animation. So let's put our little guy here, our ball. Alright? And I am going to create a frame animation in Photoshop. So, pose-to-pose animation, as I mentioned earlier, is planning out your animation. Alright, so this is the first layer. Let's call this F1 frame and something like that. And copy that, put one ahead of it. Next, I am going to duplicate this. I'm going to create another layer. I'm going to, whoops, copy again. And Control T. That probably wasn't the best method to use. And the ball is on the ground here. So, get this right. Okay, so already I made two different poses. The ball is in the air, the ball is in the ground. But I want to add more to it. Okay, so let's duplicate that layer I just made. Duplicate another frame. Get rid of that there. Here. And I'm going to put this halfway. Because this is just me but from what I understand, I'm probably wrong on the physics, but when you drop it from a certain height, it comes back up at half the distance and then just keeps going like that. Or at least that's how I understand it when you drop a ball. So we have 1 frame, 2 frame, 3 frame, blue frame, red frame. Just kidding. Okay, so next we're going to add another pose. And duplicate this. Go back, take this off of the other ones. That's what's kind of annoying with Photoshop. It can be a hassle sometimes. David Hasselhoff kind of hassle. Alright, it's on the ground again. Now I'm getting this clear to you, but I'm planning out my animation. Ball is in the air, hits the ground, bounces back up, hits the ground. And we're going to keep repeating this just a little bit longer. Now, I'm not going to make this completely accurate to real-world physics, but we'll try to get to there. We'll try something nice. And duplicate. 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 Whoops. 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 Okay. And this is going to go up just a little bit. Okay, I think that's about halfway. Yeah, that's about halfway. Yeah, yeah. Alright. And duplicate that again. Duplicate this. Move this down. Take it off of here. Take that off of there. Here, off of here, off of there, and off of here. Son of a gun. Okay. So right away you notice that it doesn't look all that nice. Now we have to move on to the next part of pose-to-pose animation. Now when you plan out your poses, you draw, in this case, you draw the little ball, sphere, whatever you want to call it, and you draw this, or you put it here. So now we have to do in between frames, otherwise this is just too fast and it looks bland. Like, see, it's already done. 6 frames, 30 frames per second. 6 frames goes fast like that. I don't know if you heard that, but yeah. Okay, so let's edit this a little. In between this frame and this frame, we are going to add another frame. Another frame, you say, Jose? Yes, another frame, my friend. Oops. Get rid of it here. Now, for Photoshop experts out there, probably cringing. Sorry. So, now we're going to move it a bit down. Do that. 2, 3. I'm going to add another one here. I should probably do this a different way, but nah. Okay. Move this up. And you get the general idea. We're going to be making frames in between our pose frames, our key pose frames. And you're going to generate it until you get something along these lines. Now, the skills I'm going to show you are, universal. You can apply them to any program. It's up to you whether you know the program that you're using or not. So, yeah. I'm probably going to speed this up and you're going to see my process. So, let's continue. Okay, and we're back. So, if you notice, we already drew the in-between frames. But it doesn't look that good. Like, hey, what's going on? I thought that we were going to do something nice. Well, sorry, my friend. Well, we have to add a little more. You see how it's very bland, it's very solid. It's like a bowl. I think of a bowling ball when I see it drop. I mean, even bowling balls even bend and squash a little. But that's for something else. So, what do we add to it? Well, going back to the 12 principles of animation, well, I should say 13. But the principles of animations, we're going to touch on squash and stretch, follow through, and overlap. So number 1 and number 5, respectively. So what do I mean when I say squash and stretch? Squash and stretch in real life world, you're going to see some things squashing and stretching. Let's take, for example, watching a YouTube video. You can see a ball hitting the floor. In this case, let's say a bowling ball. Everything squashes and stretches. Well, squashes at least, even slightly. The most solid objects you can think of, when they hit something with enough force, they squash just a little. You gotta watch it up close. Now, that doesn't mean they're not going to break. That just means, before they break, they tend to get a little bit different in size, a little wonky. So we're going to add that same feature to our little ball here. But we need to add it at the right places. So what can we do? When it hits the ground, it should start shrinking down a little bit, because all that force has to come back up. It pushes it back up. That's why a ball bounces. That's why a lot of things bounce, because when you squash something, it's going to push back to retain its original shape. Unless it's like gas or liquid, I don't know. So, let's see this. Sorry, I had a phone call. How about in this frame, before this frame, we start squashing and stretching. So we're going to do that by making another frame, obviously. Give me just a second. Okay, so let's take this off of there. Okay, this is the one we're going to squash and stretch. Okay, so when it hits the ground, it's going to squash. Let's make it maybe half the size. Ooh, let's make it really small. Let's exaggerate a little. Dun, dun. Then we're going to duplicate this, and we're going to move it right there. Dun, dun, dun. But it feels like we need to add a little more. So I would say, yes, you're absolutely right. We do need to add a little more. So let's duplicate this frame again. And let's take it off of all those at once. We're going to duplicate this again, and we're going to put it over here. Now, I'm not sure what animation program you use, but like I said, the skills can carry on. All we're doing here is adding more frames. So that, and So when the ball falls to the ground, squashes a little, and it retains its shape. But because it retained its shape, that's a lot of force that gets exerted back, and it bounces up, just fall back down again. And we're going to repeat this pattern. So let's duplicate this again. Let's put that over there. Duplicate this. Get that. Duplicate that. We're going to duplicate. Oops. Sorry, I lost track. Delete frame. That. Put it over here. So it looks a little more. It looks a little better. But there could be more done. So what is that more that we add? Alright, well, now we're going to touch on follow through and overlap. So when an object is moving, I hope I got the right principle right. That's not a good thing to say on something like this. What I mean is when something has motion, it doesn't move all together at once. You know, when someone is running, they're sprinting, they're going really, really fast, they don't just suddenly stop, you know? They gotta slow down a little, because if they suddenly stop, well, the rest of them's gonna follow, so keep on going. And, I mean, this is bad, but don't laugh at this, or, I don't know, laugh at it. When someone gets in a car crash, that's terrible. First off, that's bad. Wear your seatbelt. When someone gets in a car crash, they're going pretty fast, so their bodies are moving in a vehicle, of course. So when they suddenly stop, you know, they're still moving. That's why you wear seatbelts, kids. Don't forget. Safety first. Anyways, you're still moving. So how can we put that together with the ball? Alright, so how about this? When it's falling down, the top half of it is still kind of stretched. Well, what do you mean, Jose? Well, I'll tell you, my friend. Let's go like this. Now, it feels a little off. It feels like it needs maybe another frame in there. I say, yes, you're right. So, we're going to put another frame. What did I do wrong? Duplicate. And it's still going to go down. I don't know why I did that. I was just picking, I guess. Okay, so that. Then it squashes, stretches back up. Now it needs something here too. Or at least I think it needs something there. To give it more of that, it's forcing itself up. That's a nice noise to make. So we're gonna stretch it back up. But it doesn't feel like this is, I don't know, fast enough? Or maybe slow enough. Because I know when something is going against the force of gravity, it goes a little slower. You fall down faster than you jump up, is what I'm trying to say. Or at least that's what I'm thinking. So when it's in the air, it lasts a little longer. So let's add a few extra frames. Let's duplicate that. Take it off the beginning frame. let's try to give it back its form ever so slightly. Now, personally for me, I feel like it should be in the air just a little bit longer. So we're going to add a couple more frames. Then it falls back down. And we're going to retain that same thing we did here. When it's falling down, the rest of it doesn't come down all at once. Okay? So it's a follow through, overlap, yada yada. So we have it a few frames. Let's check it out right now. For hardcore regular animators, you can notice that it's a bit, it may not look the best. And I admit, it's not the best right now. But we're just focusing on the skills mostly. Just to get an introduction. We'll focus on accuracy, we'll focus on all that stuff later on. So, this one right here. Let's give it a little nudge there. Add another frame. Let's move this down. Let's say it's retaining its shape again, starting to. Now with animation, you always got to be a little nitpicky. You got to be worried about the little things, because it's the little things that really sell something. So it squashes, bounces back up. Let's adjust this guy here. Duplicate that guy. And we're gonna move him down. Give him a little bit of a stretch. And he hits the ground. And let's add 30 frames. Okay. So this isn't accurate to real life, but you're gonna be practicing the principles here. So if we play this back, hopefully it looks a little better. It's a little slow, and in my opinion, that is. But I think that's alright. It's alright for now. What I want from you is I want you to practice this. I want you to make a ball or circle or whatever you want. Alright? And I want you to make key poses like how I did in the beginning of this. You're going to set up where it is at what point. So we have the ball first. It starts out, hits the ground, bounces back up, hits the ground, bounce, hit, and then this isn't accurate, but I just went, and it stays solid. What I expect to see is something following with the animation, following through. Pose to pose is something I really need to see. Now, going back over what we did. We started out with pose to pose. We planned out our animation. Okay, that is the key thing. You plan out your animation with poses. Now, in between those poses, you make more frames that jump to that pose. Next, we focused on squashing and stretching. So when the ball hit the ground, it squashed a little. That squishing made it understandable that it just bounced back up. So I guess you could say this looks like a little more like a rubber ball. I mean, it's not physically, it's not accurate to how a rubber ball would bounce or something. But it gets the idea down. Next, we did the follow through. So when he was falling, he was stretching ever so slightly because it didn't all fall at once. Okay? Some of it got left behind. And yeah. So because it got left behind, it had to get caught up. It was going back to a car crash. When you're moving really fast and you suddenly stop, the rest of you is still going. Remember, safety first, kids. Other than that, I think we're doing all right for the most part. So, like I said, I want you to make a ball animation, and I want it to fall down on the ground. Make it bounce at least twice. At least twice. What I want to see are the principles of animation: the pose to pose, squash and stretch, and follow through and overlap. I'll have a link in the description where you can post your stuff to me. And yeah, hopefully we can see something from you. It doesn't matter what program you use. I just hope that you have enough technical knowledge for it. And what else was I going to say? You have enough technical knowledge for it, and you're able to apply the skills that I showed here. Now, this is just the first lesson, and judging from what I see from this, I'll see where else I can take you. See how far you've advanced. Alright. Other than that, that's it from me. So, yeah, take care and have fun. Most of all, have fun. Yeah. See ya.